What just happened in Dallas could end up being one of the most surprising and exciting moves of this entire NFL offseason. And Cowboys Nation needs to hear this loud and clear. Arnold Ebiketie may be on his way to the Dallas Cowboys, and if this becomes official, it could shift the entire dynamic of the Cowboys defense in a way that makes them serious playoff contenders and quite possibly puts them in the conversation for the NFC Championship. This news is breaking across social media through whispers in NFL insider circles, and while nothing is officially confirmed just yet, there are very strong signals that something big is happening behind the scenes between the Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons regarding Ebiketie's future. And let me tell you, this is no ordinary signing or trade rumor. This is not just a marginal role player. We are talking about a young, ascending, ultra athletic edge rusher who's about to enter the prime of his career and might be landing in one of the NFL's biggest markets to become part of one of the most iconic franchises in all of professional sports. Now, for those of you who haven't been following Arnold Ebiketie closely, let's break it down. This guy is a legit game changer when it comes to rushing the passer. He was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons in the second round of the 2022 NFL Draft out of Penn State, where he had an explosive senior season that turned a lot of heads. He tallied 9.5 sacks, 18 tackles for loss, and was constantly in the opposing backfield, wreaking havoc on quarterbacks. At Penn State, he showcased a relentless motor, elite bend around the edge, violent hands, and a get-off that made offensive tackles look foolish. He was considered one of the top pass rushers in that class, and while he didn't go in the first round, many analysts at the time believed he had first-round talent. Fast forward to today, he's developed his game even more in Atlanta, refining his technique, adding power to his frame, and gaining critical NFL experience. And now he might be on the verge of taking that next big step. That step might just be wearing the silver and blue in Dallas. So why would the Cowboys be interested in a guy like Ebiketie? Well, let's look at the state of the Dallas defense, particularly the front seven. Micah Parsons is obviously the superstar, the face of the defense, and one of the best defensive players in the league. But the Cowboys have been trying to build a deeper, more dangerous pass rushing rotation around him. DeMarcus Lawrence is still solid, but aging. Dorrance Armstrong has flashed, but isn't consistent. And when it comes to playoff football, we all know you can't rely on just one elite edge rusher to carry the load. You need waves of pressure. You need to be able to come at quarterbacks from every angle, every quarter, every series. And that's where Ebiketie comes in. Imagine pairing Micah Parsons with a high motor, explosive rusher like Arnold Ebiketie. Talk about nightmare fuel for opposing offenses. Offensive coordinators would have to account for multiple threats off the edge, and that opens up everything. It frees up the interior. It gives linebackers room to move, and it increases the chances for turnovers, sacks, and game-changing plays. Ebiketie is known for more than just his speed. He's got discipline. He sets the edge in the run game, and he plays with a chip on his shoulder, which fits perfectly with the Cowboys' mentality under Dan Quinn or whoever takes over schematics on that side of the ball. But beyond just the X's and O's, this potential move tells us something bigger. The Cowboys are serious about shoring up this defense and making a deep run. They're not sitting back. They're not waiting to develop rookies for the future. They're trying to win now. Jerry Jones has said it before. He wants another Super Bowl ring, and he's willing to spend and make bold moves to make it happen. Bringing in a player like Ebiketie fits that vision perfectly. Now let's talk about why Atlanta would even consider letting him go. That's a fair question, because you don't usually part ways with a young, talented, affordable edge rusher unless there's a strategic reason. In this case, it could come down to money and roster direction. Ebiketie is entering a critical contract year, and with his price tag expected to rise based on performance and potential, Atlanta might not want to commit long term if they're pivoting in another direction or investing elsewhere on the roster. The Falcons could be looking at a new defensive scheme or focusing on building through the draft again. That opens a window for a team like Dallas to step in and say, we'll take him off your hands and we're ready to pay, whether it's a trade deal involving a mid-round pick or even a package that includes a player swap. This kind of move makes sense for both sides. Atlanta gets value now, and Dallas gets a weapon for the future. But what's also worth noting is the timing of this news. The NFL season is around the corner, training camps are winding down, preseason evaluations are being finalized, and this is the time when teams solidify their 53-man rosters and look for that last piece to push them over the edge. Ebiketie could be that piece for Dallas. And let's be honest, Cowboys fans are tired of coming close and falling short. Year after year, they flash in the regular season, then fizzle out in January. It's not enough to make the playoffs. You need game wreckers on defense who show up in the fourth quarter in crunch time when the stakes are highest. Ebiketie is young, hungry, and still on the rise, which makes him an ideal fit for a team that already has the stars but needs more impact players in that second tier. Let's also talk about the mental and cultural fit here. Ebiketie has a strong reputation as a high character guy, a worker, someone who leads by example and keeps his head down while letting his play speak for itself. He's not the flashy type to demand the spotlight, which fits beautifully in Dallas, where there are already massive personalities in the locker room. He won't come in and try to steal shine. He'll come in and earn his role. That's exactly the kind of energy you want on a defense that's trying to build cohesion and chemistry. And you don't need drama. You need dogs. And Ebiketie is a dog. Now, assuming this deal goes through, the next big question is how the Cowboys plan to use him. Is he a rotational piece to start? Is he expected to be a starter right away? Does he line up exclusively at defensive end, or do they get creative and move him around like they do with Micah Parsons? The exciting part here is that Ebiketie's skill set offers that kind of flexibility. He's not a one-trick pony. He can drop into coverage occasionally, rush from different angles, and stunt inside if needed. With a smart defensive coordinator, you can maximize his ability and make him a weapon, not just a role player. That versatility could allow Dallas to confuse opposing offenses, disguise blitzes, and keep quarterbacks guessing. Let's not forget how important that is in the modern NFL, where scheme and deception are just as important as raw talent. On top of that, this move sends a message to the rest of the league. The Cowboys aren't sitting back. They're watching, evaluating, and pouncing when they see opportunity. It's a front office move that says, we're all in. And for fans, that's refreshing because for too long, there's been a narrative that Dallas gets complacent, that they rely too much on their stars and that they don't make enough mid-tier, high upside acquisitions to round out the roster. Ebiketie represents the opposite of that. A young, motivated, high upside move that makes football sense and cap sense. He's not going to break the bank, but he might just break through on the field in a big way. And let's just imagine for a moment a defensive front that features Micah Parsons flying off one edge, Ebiketie collapsing the other, DeMarcus Lawrence pushing from the middle, and a secondary behind them feasting on rush throws and errant passes. That's how you win championships in today's NFL, not just with stars, but with depth and pressure and chaos. If you're a Cowboys fan watching this, I know you're probably asking, is this real? I'll say, is this really going to happen? And all I can say is the smoke is there. The interest is there. The timing makes sense. The needs align. And if the Cowboys front office pulls this off, it's going to be one of the smartest, most explosive moves they've made in years. So keep your eyes glued to the news. Stay tuned to the wire, because if this goes through, it could change the entire complexion of the 2025 season for Dallas. Arnold Ebiketie in a Cowboys uniform? That's a vision fans didn't even know they needed, but now that it's out there, it's hard to imagine anything more exciting for a defense looking to take that next big step. Don't blink, folks, this one's developing fast.